All right, so I've got Dr. O'Neal on the Zoom. How many times do you get the Dr. O'Neal thing, man, since you got your doctorate and all that?
Quite a few. Quite a few. But so it's probably 79% Shaq,
Yeah.
10% Diesel, and then the rest Doctor.
Hey, a couple doctors. And so you got a lot of titles now. One is brand ambassador for WynnBet. So congrats on that. We were just talking offline about that. It's got to be exciting. I always stayed at the Wynn, man. I mean, like, it's my favorite spot to gamble. It's my favorite spot to stay. How did that come about?
Well, I have a long personal history with the Wynn, through its entertainment avenues. And, I'm a resident at Encore, DJ residence at Encore Beach Club, Club Exec. So I was comfortable with the Wynn ecosystem.
I also saw the commercial with you, Melvin Gregg, Ben Affleck. And the question I have is, how tall is Ben Affleck in reality? Because he did not look tall in that commercial. He's supposed to be a tall guy.
Ben Affleck is one of my favorite people in the world. I met him in the late 80s, and he's the same guy. He's always been nice to me. He's an avid sports fan. So when they told me he was directing the commercial, would I like to be in it? I was like, yeah. And he was great, and he was efficient. It was an honor for me to say I've done something with Ben because, I don't know how most superstars think, but when I get around other celebrities, I'm a normal guy. So the fact that I know Ben and he knows me, and the fact that all these celebrities used to come watch me play, that just gives me the chuckles. But when they said he was directing a commercial, we went out there, we had fun. Melvin Gregg, who's a fabulous actor, was also on the commercial, and it was great.
But he's a legit tall actor.
Yes, he is. Very tall, very tall.
And have you ever encountered an actor that could actually play? Like, have you ever played pickup with actors? I'm sure you have.
You know what? Adam Sandler.
He's legit, huh?
I shot 5 movies with him. He's legit. Not pro legit, but he's definitely LA Fitness, 24-hour fitness legit.
Is he just getting shots up? What's his favorite spot? Like, if we showed fucking Adam Sandler's heat map, where are all the shots being taken?
The top of the key and the side. And he's a great facilitator.
Yeah. So we got to work on his fit, or maybe we don't, because I feel like that's intimidating when you see a guy roll up to a pickup game wearing what Adam Sandler wears.
Well, no, actually, the guys that got the perfect fit are the guys that can't hoop. The guys that don't really care about what they wear, those are guys that you got to be wary of.
No doubt. We're talking about the Affleck and Melvin Gregg commercial a little bit ago. Outside of that commercial, of course, do you have a favorite? You've shot, I feel like 100 of them, and they've all been real good.
All my commercials are my favorite, and this is the reason why. I haven't played in 12 years, so the fact I still have the ability to shoot commercials. Every time my team asks me to shoot a commercial, I'm just ecstatic. I'm so happy, and I just try to, do the same thing. My commercials, we don't like to do pitchy commercials. We like to do commercials that make you smile,
right?
And make you have a good time. And hopefully, in doing that, you will think about the product.
I remember my favorite was the Michael J. Fox one, I think.
Oh, yeah.
That's my favorite one. Yeah, dude. Because I was a kid, and I just watched the YouTube before I came on. And it's this Russian nostalgia, bro. Like, it just was such a... And that was it. 12-year-old me, smile when I saw that. I wanted a Pepsi.
Exactly.
And they had Michael J. Fox sitting courtside. What's the deal with courtside in L.A.? Like, what are the do's and don'ts? Like, Shaq's do's and don'ts of sitting courtside in L.A. or anywhere.
Well, am I playing or am I sitting courtside?
You're playing.
Okay, so if you're playing and the guys that are courtside, you have to put on a show. For bad games, no miss shots, and when I say put on the show, put on the show.
Right.
You have to get hot, and you have to dunk, and you have to look at them, you have to acknowledge them, you have to, because you have to give them the same enjoyment that they gave you. Like whenever I saw a big time superstar on the floor, I had to have a great game. When you go to certain arenas and you're just not feeling it that day, you're like, I can't get it. But if I'm playing and Jack Nicholson, and Adam Sandler, and Denzel with lovely wives on the floor, oh no, I got to go to work.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Not just commercials, not just a pitch man, obviously musician as well. And I want to show you something. This is, I showed Chuck this. I had Chuck on the show recently. This is 1997. It's the same year, I think, as your commercial. You see that ticket right there?
Oh, man. That's nice. What is that?
Hey, bro, I was at that fucking show in Montana. Do you remember playing in Montana?
Oh yeah, I did.
Hey,
I remember that. Yes.
it was me and Frank Burkowski.
Yes, I remember that. Hold on, that was you?
Yeah, dude, it was me. Frank took me and a buddy. We went to the Shaq show, man. You worked the crowd in the middle of nowhere in Montana, bro.
I remember that because there was a friend of mine who said, "Yo, man, you need to come to Montana." I was like, "They don't like rap music in Montana."
They do if you're there.
Yeah.
You had everybody doing this shit.
Yeah, and what's that? What's that lake that Phil Jackson lives on? It was freezing.
Flathead Lake. That's I got a place there too. Steve, I rode a Sea-Doo with Steve there once. Kerr.
Oh, I jumped in the damn thing. I almost died in that lake, bro. That was the coldest water I ever felt in my life.
It's really refreshing. It's really refreshing. And you've done DJing, obviously, world famous DJ Diesel. If you could play anywhere in the world, you could do a set anywhere in the world, like any party, where would it be?
Well, I've already done it. It was a festival called Tomorrow World. I saw it in Atlanta in 2015. I want to say it was 500,000 people there.
Right.
And I played in Belgium 2 years in a row. First year was about 50,000, and the second time was about 150,000.
Yeah.
So, that gives me the same adrenaline effect as being down by one and they throw you the ball and you hit a turnaround fadeaway with 0.11 second on the clock. Game is over.
What's easier to recover from? You have a bad quarter or you have a bad little piece of the set?
I try not to have a bad piece of the set because I've always had the ability to look at the crowd and see what they like. I mean, because it's like simple math. If a song is hot, it should work. If a song is a classic, it should work. If you mix a song with another song, it should work. You just have to have the right song selection. I remember one time I went to a corporate party and I started off with Cardi B. It wasn't a good night.
Which song did you start with, dude?
You can't mess with me. You wanted to, that one.
Yeah, dude, I know what you're talking about too. So let me, I've gotten this question before. We've asked people this on the show before. If the aliens came down and you had to introduce them to hip hop and you had one album to play, which would it be?
NWA.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I might just stick with the whole vibe and go AT-Aliens or Quemini. You pick, but either of those, that's going to be my two. Yeah. What about verses? What do you have a favorite verses this year? And the pandemic really burst some great content on IG Live.
The Dipset versus the Locks was probably the best one this year. But Jadakiss at the end, he just took over.
Dude,
took over.
I wanted to play ball again. He made me want to play. Like, he had the same competitive juice that we had playing sports. Like, and of course, I was rooting for the Locks. Right. They mopped them up.
They did. They really did.
Bad luck. It was bad luck. But everybody made money, so it's all good. Shaq Super Friends Volume 1. This is something that, was it released or not released?
It was never released. I mean, at that point in my career, I hadn't won a championship yet, and I was getting a lot of flack. So when I met Phil Jackson at that cold-ass Flathead Lake, he said, "I need you to put everything down." So this was the last project. And then I would say to myself, okay, I'm not really making money doing this. Like, I'm breaking even. Like, I'm spending $1 million, making $2 million. Like, I'm not a real rapper. Like, this is not really money to me. So I just said, let me listen to what Phil Jackson says and just let me, start focusing on the game. But it was never released. I may release it at some point in time.
A lot of great names on there. And I think you got to be the best tall rapper of all time.
No, I'm the best athlete rapper of all time.
Rapper. Okay, best athlete rapper of all time. But I think also tall. I mean, outside Snoop, there's not a lot of 6'5" and above MCs.
You know what? You're right about that.
Shaq on TV, okay? Season 2 of Shaq Versus, which I'd never seen. I was doing a little reading. You did a competitive eating deal. Actually, just last night, I finished the Waffle House Challenge. Have you heard about this Waffle House Challenge? This stupid shit.
What do you have to do?
You have to stay 24 hours in a Waffle House, and for every waffle you eat, you get an hour off. Yeah, see?
I'm not doing that. Hell no.
Well, what I was going to ask is how many.
No, I'm not doing that. Stay in a Waffle House? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, but the way out is you just eat a waffle and they subtract an hour. So just last night I ate.
Oh, okay.
14. I ate 14 of those motherfuckers, and I was out in 10 hours. And I'm wondering if I gave Shaq 10 hours, how many waffles do you think you could polish off? But they got to be Waffle House waffles.
20. Yeah, because I would pace myself. I would eat a waffle. Every 30 minutes.
Yo, that was the mistake I made. I sat down and I ate 6, and then I was just stuffed. The other debate we had about Shaq before we get into the basketball stuff is the Cribs episode, which is one of my all-time favorites. Everybody remembers the bed. That's the thing everybody remembers, and you challenge people. Don't try to match the size of my bed. I can make it bigger. Are you still sleeping on a 30-foot bed?
One guy challenged me, so I made it 50 feet now. Made it bigger.
Stop it. You really have a 50-footer right now?
Yeah, it's because you have to understand the bed is made out of wood. You just put the mattresses on top. So one guy sent me a picture of his bed, so I just extended my bed 20 more feet.
So let me ask you, if I made a 70-foot bed, would you have to top it like contractually?
I would actually turn the whole room into a bed, and I have that room downstairs in my house.
Reed, turn the studio into a bed, and then we're gonna send a picture of Shaq, and he's just gonna have to keep one-upping us. All right.
Yeah.
This is free fucking content here. I'm serious too, Reed. I want a fucking bed the size of the 3rd floor here. Okay. Also, second question from that episode: when did we stop with fitted hats? Because this, like, I saw your closet. You had a ton of them. Everybody had them in the 2000s. Like, what age did dudes stop wearing fitteds?
You know what's crazy? I wore one the other night when I was
really.
Yeah, they're all just sitting there.
So which do you like? You can't go two-tone anymore.
No, I don't go two-tone. I like all the dark colors.
Yeah, like a Yankees hat.
I like all my favorite teams, and I like the one that got the D and the S on. I think it's Seattle Mariners and the Detroit something.
But I know what you're talking about. That's it, dude. I can't wear them anymore. I look stupid in them, and I kind of stop. Yeah, bro. Plus I've been working on this mullet and this flow up here, but
flow looks good though, bro.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate it. I got a little waterfall coming out the back too, so
it's nice.
That's the best compliment I could have got. Shaq complimenting my mullet. In the 90s, man, like for me, 36-year-old dude, I feel like that's the golden age of basketball, but I feel like probably every generation is going to feel like they watch their favorite generation.
This generation sucks, so I know.
Okay, there we go. So talking about the 90s, man, like we had John Starks on. Go ahead.
Before you ask this question,
yeah.
Do you feel about this generation in football like I feel about this generation in basketball?
I don't think it sucks. I just think it's so corporatized and so just sterile. The NFL's made it kind of more sterile, and I feel like there was more hitting. There was more, like all the players that I love watching, like Bob Sanders, Troy Polamalu, like guys like they could never play now.
Ever. Every little hit is a penalty, and what's this thing? You hit somebody with your helmet, you get thrown out of the game. What is that?
Well, listen, I think that was the year I retired, and I retired at a good time because the last thing I want to see when I'm risking my life to play a sport is that you guys are going to take my money for it. I mean, like, come on now. So yeah, the 90s were the best. They were the best in football. They were the best in basketball.
Yes, they were.
And, having said that, we had John Starks on recently, and we were talking about guys from the 90s that their game could transition. And I was wondering who you thought that people might not realize would still play at a high level in the 2020s that played against you or with you.
Me?
Yeah, outside of you, because I think you're good in any weather, dude.
Because all these big guys are buttercups. They want to shoot jumpers. I'm never shooting a jumper.
Yeah.
But Jordan definitely could have played.
Yeah.
Dominique could have played. Isaiah. Like all the top greats could definitely play in this era. And the reason why I said that because similar to football where they take the hitting away, Jordan and those guys played in the hard foul hand checking era, and they still dominate. So if you play now where you can't hand check and you can't body check and you can't do certain things, what do you think the outcome would be? I laugh at the so-called critics that say, he can never play in this era. This era, I hate to say it, I don't really care who likes it. This era is much softer. It is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and the rules encourage it. And so I guess the other way going back, who's a guy now who's a star that you're like, oh, he could play with us?
Well, LeBron did play with us. Kevin played with us. Kyrie sort of kind of played with us. The guys that are the older guys that are doing it learn from us. But like you said, the rules and the corporatization of the things which made the game soft, but they still play a certain way. I would have liked to see how Steph Curry would have done in the hard foul hand check era.
You think, what do you think would be the biggest challenge for him other than like the very obvious, like breaking it down to me, kind of a average basketball fan?
I love Steph Curry. He's my favorite player, but I look at him like he still looks like a little baby sometimes. That was my thing. And, that was my thing. Like if I used to tell D-Fish all the time, if a guy gets hot, send him to the hole and let me touch him up.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of people don't know the reason why I survived Hacker Shot because football is my first love. I'm a football player first.
Yeah.
And I never even thought about basketball until my father showed me an article where John Concack was making a lot of money. Because my idol was Too Tall Jones before it was Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And I used to love to hit and I used to love beat people up. So I brought the football mentality to the NBA when I played.
What position would you have played?
Tight end. My hands are impeccable.
Impeccable. You've been like a super Gronk.
You know who my college roommate was? Odell Beckham Sr.
Really?
Yes. And he learned from me. And his son learned from me. His hands are shoot.
His hands are impeccable, man. That guy can snatch it out of the air, bro. I'm looking at your LSU stuff, and I don't know how much of when you did Blue Chips, I don't know if any of that stuff rang true or not, but like now if you played, you wouldn't even have to deal with any of that stuff with the NIL.
The statute of limitations is up. I had a lot of offers.
Okay, there we go.
I had a lot of offers, but my father told me something very profounding one day.
Yeah.
It relates to, taking stuff that you're not supposed to take and going broke too early. He told me, he said, son, we've been broke for 17 years. We can be broke for 18 years. Get an education.
Yeah.
Get an education. And because like my sophomore year, I was hot. Dick Vitale had me ready to hot. So my dad was I'm sure your father was similar. My dad was a guy you don't really challenge unless it's that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm not challenging the flat top.
Yeah, so I came in and said, hey, man, I'm going pro. He was so smart. He said, talk to your mother. Because they kind of knew what I was going to do. So my mom said, okay, baby, let's talk about it. Balance his checkbook. I had no idea what I was doing.
Right.
I didn't know nothing. I was like, oh, what is this? It's like I've never even seen a checkbook before.
Right.
And then my mom said, baby, you're not ready. You're not going anywhere. So I was like, you know what? She's right. Because, we all hear the stories about how athletes, after they're done playing, don't have anything, how they want to be part of that. So
yeah,
my junior year, when I came back, after I took my accounting class and my business classes, I was ready for the ass.
Yeah. What would you have, who would you have partnered with, like corporately? Like what product would you have pushed? Because you pushed so many great products. We talked about the commercials. A 19-year-old or actually 18-year-old Shaq walking on campus with NIL the way it is now. What's your first big lick?
I would do it different. I would use the NIL experience for introductions. For example, let's just say I'm the Shaq now, and I'm probably going to be the first 2-3 picks. So I'm okay. Nike want to give me $20,000? Nah, but I'm going to be the first pick. I need them Kevin Durant numbers. So how about we do not take the $20,000? How about we set up meetings and talk about future business? That's what I would do. Like, I'm not just going to be, Nike wants to pay you $20,000 just to wear it. Nah, I'm not going to do it because sometimes you have to think ahead. And, all money ain't perfect money. So $20,000 is good for a college kid who doesn't have it. But if you keep doing the right things in 3 or 4, in 90 days, you're going to have the draft.
Yeah.
120 days, you're going to sign a contract. 150 days, you'll be able to buy your parents whatever you want. Hold off. So me, I would use the NIL experience to set up future meetings.
I like reading, and I was a kid when you left Orlando. Like, so to me, I'm a kid watching sports. I'm not reading, the business part of the sports page. So I didn't realize how probably like you're a bit of a trailblazer when it came to like, player mobility. And I don't feel like you got the credit you deserve in your era. And a few of you guys in your era didn't get the credit they deserve when it comes to player empowerment. Do you see that?
But it's not something I worry about. You know, one of my greatest attributes, except for one of my agents here named Danny, I never listen to him, but everybody else, I said, oh God, I'm a great listener. So of course, when I came in, I didn't know nothing about contracts. So my guy said, hey, we're going to sign 40 for 7. It'll be the biggest rookie deal ever, but we'll have an option after 4. I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, well, if you're doing well, you can scrap that and ask for more money. And I was like, you know what, I'll take it. And then I knew that if a certain player that wasn't as good as me made more money than me, I love that.
Right.
So when Big Dog was asking for 120, I was like, please give it to him. Because if you give him 120, I'm starting off at 190.
Mm-hmm.
So when Alonzo signed for 115 and Juwan signed for 110, we went back to Orlando and was like, hey, 150. And they refused. And then Jerry West called me during the Olympics, said, I got some good news for you. I got that 120. And then I looked at that contract. I never seen so many zeros in my life. I had to sign it. Like, I didn't even tell my parents, my kids, nothing. Like, I just saw, all I saw was 120, comma, 000, comma, 00. I was like, oh my God, 100 million. So I just signed it right away.
I mean, this was and you mentioned Juwan, like, yeah, that was the kiss of death. Like, as far as you getting the bag that you wanted. And it's just, that's the name of the game. It's still the name of the game. That's why everybody should root for each other in pro sports. But I feel like there's so much jealousy, even though the first thing when I got in locker rooms in the NFL was like, don't count people's money. But then that's all I heard dudes doing.
And I definitely use that as motivation.
But the Sun Sentinel thing was that blown out of proportion, the poll that I read about? Because
that was real. I still live in Orlando. It's a great town. But people ask me all the time, if we would have stayed together, I'm guaranteeing we definitely could have got one.
Right.
Because Penny, not a lot of kids today remember, Penny was Kobe before Kobe. Yeah. And Penny came in like that. Kobe took him 1 or 2 years to develop that Black Mamba. But when Penny came in, Penny was the real deal right away. And then, he got injured.
What do you think developed that Black Mamba? You said it wasn't like that right away.
He was always a super ambitious kid. He was the type that he's not going to stop. He was like me. I'll go, and then I got to go to the club, or and I got to go to the commercial. He was every day. And like when he first came in at 17 years old, we had to like, bro, slow down.
Yeah.
Relax. But he like, no, I want to take a last shot. I want to do that. And, it takes a special kind of person to be like that. And he was definitely that kind of special player. He knew from 17 that he wanted to be the best player ever.
Talking about special players and somebody I know you have a really powerful relationship with. Recently, I saw you got polled as the 4th best center of all time, and it surprised me. You were like, yeah, I agree with that, or whatever you said. But Bill Russell's on that list, and I feel like that's a dude, you guys seem really tight. And I know it's hard to share sometimes conversations, but like, has he ever told you something that really changed the game for you, like a great piece of advice, or what was the most powerful discussion y'all had that you came away and said, okay, that's a jewel right there. I got to catch that.
He just told me about his life. He was the first and second great big man to be nice to me. Actually, he was the first, and I'm going to tell you the second one. It's like, I wanted Kareem and Wilt to say something. You suck. Go baseline. Shoot a hook. Never say anything to him. We'd be in the same restaurant, wouldn't even speak. It's cool. Bill Russell, hey, how you doing? And we never talked basketball. He would just sit and tell me stories, about the times that he couldn't stay in the same hotel as his teammates. Read this, read all about this, read all about that. I was fresh and like, wow, one of the greats was talking to me. But my best experience, another great center alive, older gentleman, Minnesota. Every time I came to Minnesota, he'd be in the back. He's like, Shaq, I'm George Mikan. And I'm like, sir, I know who you are. You never had to explain to me every game. And I'll tell you, every time I came to Minnesota, he was in the back. He just wanted to talk. I'd take a picture. Then I came back one time and they had amputated one of his legs. He's like, I'm not missing this game for nothing. in another town, they amputated another one of his legs, but he always came and then he passed away. I called his family and I paid for his funeral. But the fact that two of the greatest centers in the world came to watch me play and recognized me and gave me the stamp of approval, it's just, something that you're familiar with, just a testament to hard work, because your father was a professional athlete and gave you all the answers to the test. Mine wasn't, but both listened and made it there. So, like, my father, when I first started playing, this is what my father said, true story, he said, you listen to me, I'll make you one of the best centers ever. Your name's going to be mentioned with Jordan, Mike, and Kareem, Bill, and Will. When I was young, I was like, yeah, okay. I didn't really know who those guys were because, Dr. J was my guy. He'd say all these names, and then the fact that they know me, it just, made me go back to, saying, thanks, Dad. The stuff that you take for granted when they pass away. And, George Mike, like, he always used to come back and Shaq, I'm George. Like, George, sir, I know who you are. Shaq, George, like, Mr. Mike, I know who you are. And
like,
you just,
man, I've been doing your drill. I've been doing your drill for 20 years. Oh my God, dude, that's amazing. And I feel like young players could use like a little, like hearing something like that, because you got to appreciate the guys that came before you. And I do think there's, like, not to sound like an old dude or something, but I do think I already noticed that younger guys don't appreciate it the same, as maybe your generation.
They don't, because the money is much higher.
Yeah.
It's much higher, but I'll never. That's why when I look at the list and they say you're fourth, bro, as long as I'm up there with those names, like my father told me, fine with that. I don't have to be one, but as long as I'm right there, because he told me, like, when I was the clumsy kid who couldn't do the mic and drill, and everybody was saying, hey, you're 6'9", you're wearing 2 knee braces, you'll never be a great NBA player. And he said, listen to me, and I made it. So I don't have a problem with being fourth, fifth. But if you put other people's names before me, I have a problem. But Wilt, George, Bill, Kareem, have no problem. Anybody else, I'm gonna have to fight you.
Just make it fair. If you're gonna put me down, make it fair. There's nothing. It's not like being put down. Now, being fourth all time, I mean, golly. Last question here, September 9th. WynnBet, all right, it's going live in Arizona. It's already live in 5-6 states. So when I looked at the futures for winning the NBA Finals, the Suns are in the top 5. I don't bet they're going to win, but, I guess if there is a futures bet out there for them to get back to the finals, how do you feel about it next year? And what's at play in the West?
For them, I'm going to have to disagree with you. Lakers are coming back strong in the West, and Brooklyn coming back strong in the East. If I had a futures bet, it'll be the Lakers versus Brooklyn in the finals.
Right.
And I'll be willing to drop 10,000 on that.
Wow. Well, I mean, that ain't much, but for you, but for me, I mean, that's one of my biggest futures bets of the year. Yeah.
It depends on what the odds are, though, brother.
Yeah, no doubt. Shaq, Dr. O'Neal, brand ambassador for the Wynn. I mean, he does it all, and I'm really excited to be one of your coworkers, sort of, man. So come back again, and congrats on all the success, man.
No problem. Tell your family, especially your father, said hello.
I sure will.
All right, I'll talk to you soon, brother.
Okay, man. Be well.
Right.
See you, bud.
I knew that was him. I was looking at it like, I know this kid from somewhere. I knew that was you.